I'm Kelly Eastwood. I'm here to crush them. Just kidding. Okay. America, the land of the free and equal opportunity. Well, that's what it's supposed to be, at least. If upon conviction of a felony, their proposition, the right to vote would be permanently withdrawn for people who commit even the tiniest of crimes, they could potentially permanently lose their right to vote and this equality that America claims to offer. Now, as Devin mentioned, the low voter turnout and how people aren't wanting to vote, well, currently 6.1 million Americans are prohibited from voting due to felony offenses. Shouldn't we want to decrease that number rather than increase it and make less people vote? Considering how racist our white male ancestors have been throughout the development of this country, shouldn't we be a little bit worried that racism could still be instilled in the values of many white males today? Cough, cough, Trump, who's now leading this country. There's a problem with minorities being put into prison for no reason. African Americans constitute around 38% of disenfranchised people, 5 times the rate among non-blacks because of significantly higher rates of searching, sentencing, and detention by the police. If we permanently take the rights away from these minorities, odds are Democratic nominees would never stand a chance against Republicans or, I guess you could say, white power. And you were saying we can't trust the judgment of criminals, but some of these people haven't really committed any violent crimes or anything, but we're letting racists out there vote, so there's that. Also, you're saying there's like a more moral standard to who should be allowed to vote, but not that long ago, maybe 200 years ago, when these laws came about, women, African Americans, illiterates, poor people, they weren't allowed to vote either. And it was women, African Americans, illiterate, poor people, and ex-felons that weren't allowed to vote. All of those are allowed to vote now, so why don't we continue the progress and let ex-felons vote? I don't really think listening to everything that came about 200 years ago is really the right way to do things. But and then when it comes to amendments, in the 8th Amendment, according to limitations on capital punishment, the 8th Amendment succinctly prohibits excessive sanctions and demands that punishment for crime should be graduated in proportion to the offense. Graduated and proportioned. So, in my eyes, that would mean once you finish your sentence and you are released from prison, wouldn't it be proportioned since you are done with your sentence to finally be able to vote again and be considered a citizen? And then you also mentioned the process being lengthy and that that's a problem, but I don't think that's a problem. I would want to know that the process is lengthy. These criminals did do something wrong, so they should have to suffer a bit. Making the process lengthy would ensure that criminals, it would basically be based off of like how bad what they did was. So it's like, obviously you don't want a murderer to ever get their rights back, but if we don't make that process lengthy, and we just do one thing, like you're not going to be able to, sorry, I don't know how to word this. If we don't make the process lengthy, we could be giving the wrong people their rights back, but I think they're doing a good job by having the states choose because, I don't know where I'm going with this, sorry. I'm done.
call anybody racist again? Good.